Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today we are going to color silver with and without a metallic pencil. Now I've colored a bit here with non-metallic pencils as well as metallic pencils, and you can't really tell the difference. And of course we will get closer so you can take a look at the differences between the two. At the bottom of the screen, you will see a ticker of different numbers. Those different numbers are the numbers for these Arteza pencils. So when I say a number, I of course have an older set. So I will say the number that is not in brackets. The number in brackets is for the newer set. So if you have a brand new set of Arteza pencils, you'll be looking at the numbers that are in the brackets. If you have an older set of pencils, then you can just follow along by the voice, by what I say. Um, just wanted to throw that out there so that the numbers running across the bottom of the screen aren't going, what are those for? So what we're going to do is we're going to take a closer look at this picture here. So let's get close and personal here. I'm just going to move that over here so you can see it a little bit better. I did get a new camera, so it has a little bit better of a there we go. Oh, too far. Has better zooming in capabilities, as well as you can see, it has a lot better focus capabilities as well. Now, the part here, the pointer of this dial has been done in 3 different colors. It's been done in a light gray, a dark gray, and black. This one here has been done with a silver pencil and a dark gray. And you can't really see a whole lot of difference. This one here, I have taken a white pencil and highlighted it. And when we get to that point, we will do that as well. But this one here, because of course that it's a metallic pencil, didn't really need that extra bit of highlight because the metallic will pick up the light a little bit better than the gray. So that is what we are going to do today. So I'm going to continue on with the cogs. So there's a cog here, and we're going to color that in the metallic. Now this is metallic silver, A127, and I will sharpen it because I do want a nice tight point on this so that it reaches into all of the little crevices. So we're just going to go over the entire thing with a light layer of this silver. And of course, we will go back over it again afterwards to blend. So we're just going to go over top of it. Now, you're probably sitting there going, well, if I have a silver pencil, why would I want to color things with gray pencils if I have a silver pencil? And absolutely, that was usually my response when I first started coloring of, I have a silver pencil, why don't I just color it silver? And the reason being is when you add a bit of dark gray or black or things like that, you can add your shadows, you can add your depth and your dimension to the piece. Like as you can see with this piece here, the dimension that I've added with the shadowing and everything else makes that dial look like it's standing up above this part here. And that's what we're trying to go for, to give it that dimension and shadowing effect, you have to use more than one color. And just like anything else, sometimes some sets don't come with a silver. Some of the smaller sets don't have silver. So if you know how to do it with grays, sometimes with grays as well, you can get a lot better dimension than just with silver, because you're more aware of how dark it looks or how light it looks. With silver, you put down the silver and you think, okay, well, that's silver, so that's the color that it's going to be. Okay, so we've put down a light layer of silver, and as you can see, the difference between this and this is quite extensive. So what we're going to do is we're going to take pewter gray, which is A023 in the old set, and we're going to sharpen it to a nice sharpened point. And I really shouldn't do that on the tabletop with the camera because it shakes it. And we're going to go around all the edges, and we're going to bring that pewter color into that silver a little bit and give it that dimension. And you just go around it a little bit. Extend it out just a touch, because you'll also be taking your noir pencil, your black pencil, and going around the very, very edges. Now, because this isn't up against something, it's open space behind this cog, you can leave it with just the dimension in the cog. But with, say, these cogs here that are on top of something, going over top of the line and adding that bit of shadow there helps everyone to understand that that's a dimension above the backing. Excuse me. I don't think I've had enough coffee this morning. I've got a frog in my throat. So I'm just going around and I'm just filling in a bit of dimension. And of course, this is subject to your own vision. And as I say at the start of every video and at the end of every video, this is the way I do it. This is very possibly not the best way to do it or the exact way you're supposed to do it, or, this is just my way of doing it. And I am quite sure that there is 1,000 other ways of doing this that get you really, really beautiful results. And I'm quite sure I've seen quite a few of them. This is just a very basic way of doing it where you get a good result with the colors you have. I am by no means an expert whatsoever. I've just been coloring for a little while, and I have picked up little bits along the way. Both with other YouTubers. I do watch YouTube videos to learn different techniques that I don't know. So there are definitely ones out there that may teach you a little bit more than I can or whatnot, but 9 times out of 10, I have changed a little bit of what they've taught me into what I want it to be. And it's usually pretty accurate with what it's supposed to be. Now, I don't think that there's enough dimension around these middle parts, so I'm going to bring that out just a little bit so that it looks like it's curving in. And of course, like I said, I will be going over these parts with black as well as with the silver again to darken it up a little bit and blend everything together, of course. Now, if you were coloring just a flat cog, you could probably just go around everything and give it that little bit of dimension. But I want it to look like it's curving in into those holes. So I'm giving it that shadow. And that's basically all you're doing, is you're creating a shadow with color. Okay, so I've given it that bit of dimension. Now I'm going to take the Noir pencil, and like I said, that is A012 in the old pencils. If you have the new pencils, of course, look for A012 and look at the number in the brackets. Now we're going to take the Noir pencil and we're just going to go just inside the outer edge of areas that are inside. And you can, of course, do this in any area you feel needs a little bit more darkness. The edges here, I feel, are thicker, so they need a little bit more of a dark edge. So I'm just giving that shadow effect there. I'm trying to keep you in the screen. I do apologize if I knock you out. I have a horrible habit of turning the paper, and I could fix that by dialing you out a little bit, but then you wouldn't see it as well. So I'm actually going to move you over a touch and move you up. There we go. That way I can put that back on the table and not feel like I'm crushing the paper. And then in this area here where I have extended that gray out a little bit, I'm making that black a little bit thicker into that gray a little bit, just the same as down on the edges here. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to make this look like it's rounded in a little bit. So that it looks like it has some dimension to it. And if you find that you haven't put enough gray in, like for example, this one here, I don't think there's enough gray there. The great thing about it is you're using a light enough touch while you're doing this to, of course, change that. So you just grab your gray, which is the pewter gray, and that is A023, and just extend it a little bit. So if you feel that your grays aren't quite extended enough for you, just go back over it and extend it a little bit. Now you got to remember that we are going to be going over this with the silver again to give that silver appearance still. Okay. Now I do have, there it is. I even took it out. I just couldn't find it. So there's our brush, and we're just going to brush off any bits of black or gray that are on there. And then we're going to take our silver again, and we're just going to blend that all together and bring that all into one color. Of course, the lighter color down the center will be where your light line is, and the darker colors will give it that dimension to make it look like it is not flat. Okay. And now I'm doing this very, very quickly, so if it looks messy, I'm sorry. I have a tendency to try to speed things along for you so that you're not sitting there in silence. And if I'm going too quickly, of course, leave me a comment in the comment section and let me know if you prefer me to slow down a bit or speed up a bit, that sort of thing. I try to, sometimes I try to keep everything going through too quickly. And I notice when I rewatch the video after, of course, I've published it, I don't spend enough time on certain aspects that you might find very important, but because I already know it, it doesn't seem important to me, which is silly, I know, and it's a terrible thing to do because when I was watching videos and that sort of thing, it used to bug me that I would have to stop and rewind over and over again so that I could see what I wanted to see. But there is our cog. And of course, you can definitely go over that with a blending pencil because this is not the final finished product. I'm not going to do that. Now I want the inner cog to be darker than the outer cog there. So I'm going to use Storm Gray. And I'm going to sharpen over here so I don't shake you all up. As my outer edge, and I'm going to use the pewter gray as my inner edge. So this is going to be a lot darker, almost like a, well, I guess pewter color instead of silver. And this is done just with your gray pencils. So I've got the pewter gray, which is A023, and that one I'm using for the entire inside. And I'm just very lightly filling in that inner cog wheel. And then I'm going to take the Storm Gray, which is A151, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the pewter gray on the outer wheel there. And I'm going to add those shadows so that it gives it that dimension, as well as the shadow of the cog above it. Okay, and now because this is so dark, I'm going to take a look at it and see if I want to add that black, because the Storm Gray is a very dark gray, so it's a very dark color, and I may not want to take that black and darken that up even more. So I'm just going to finish this part up, finish putting in the shadows, and take a look and see. Oh, it looks okay that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take a lighter gray at this point. I think steel gray. And I'm actually just going to color in those highlight areas and blend it together with a bit of a lighter gray. Just to give it that still metallic look without using a metallic pencil. And there we go. All right, so next, what other things do we want to color in this way? Because I want to do strictly the silver. So I'm going to do the outer rings of this area as well as the dials. And I'm going to do them with a lighter gray. So I'm going to start with this ring here, and I'm using fog gray, which is A128, and it is a very, very light gray. It's almost a white gray, and we're going to start with that. Yeah, it's so light you can barely see it. And I'm just going to very, very gently, or lightly, I should say, fill in that ring. Because I want this to be a different color of silver. And that's another thing that I find with doing it with grays is you can vary the different kinds of silver you have, the different tarnishes, the different looks. I don't know about everybody else. I have heard a lot of people do find they end up doing it after they start coloring for a while. Is now when you look at things, you can see the different colors in something. Different tarnish levels, different colors that come with different tarnish levels, things like that. How the light's hitting something and the way it looks and the colors that it creates and everything else. And I found that I started getting to that point about a year ago. And now everything I look at the colors that it would take to recreate that. On my pages. And I've gotten pretty good at guessing, but sometimes I need a little help, and my eyesight needs a lot of help. Now we're going to take smoke gray, which is a medium gray, and I'm going to sharpen it to a nice sharp point. And this number for this pencil is A107 of the old set. So of course, if you've got a new set, remember to look at the numbers in the brackets next to the number I'm using. So I'm just going around the edges. Now we don't want to go too deep. We're going to put some different lower shadows in because of the flowers that are there. But we don't want to go too deep into the circle because we're going to add another color into that as well. And we're going to do that on both sides, so make sure that you leave that center area as light as you can possibly leave it. And also remember that if you do go over the entire thing, which is possible and it's perfectly fine if you do, it's a lot easier sometimes to go over the entire thing and then go back over top of it with a eraser and just put a eraser line down the center. Or you can grab a white Posca pen or a gel pen and add that white highlight down the center. And I am moving you around too much, sorry. Oh, that pencil wanted to join us. and it will in just a moment. So I'm just going to go down the edges of the inside and outside edges. And I'm going to create that visual of the shadow that's there, like it's domed. Now, you're going to take the next darkest, which is the pewter gray, which we were just using, which is A023 in the old set. Now you're going to go over top of the medium gray that you just put down at the very edge where the black line is. And just enough that that color comes into your area. Now, when you get down to things like this or like this where it's connecting or overlapping, make sure that you put in the shadow for that overlap because that piece is higher up than the piece you're coloring. Just always remember that the piece above or the piece that's overlapping is going to be above what you're coloring. So this area here, I'm going to color a little bit darker, and I'm not going to worry about that highlight edge because the shadow is going to overtake that. And then just continue on through your piece all the way down. And like I said, you can, do this, very quickly, and you don't have to be precise about it. You can take an eraser and run it down the center later on to give you that highlight that you want. Just make sure that you put at least one light layer of the lighter color. Make sure that you have one layer of the lighter color underneath all the other colors and stop erasing once you get to that lighter color. If you find that you've erased too far and you're all the way down to the paper, just take your lighter color and fill it in. Okay, so that is our light silver. And of course, you can always go around if you find that it's a little bit too light for you and you want that deep dark edge of the dip or the shadow from whatever is over top of it. You can take your noir pencil or your black pencil if you're using a different set and just go around it. And just go back, just try to stay really close to that black line, especially with the fact that this line is really thin. And I guess I should tell you where I got this picture. I just thought of that. I am so sorry. This picture is a Color It Freebie Friday that I received in my email because I am a subscriber to their newsletter. So if you subscribe to Color It's newsletter, you will get the Freebie Fridays. And on Friday, they will send you a free picture. And this is one of those pictures that they sent. I think it's number 48. Download 48 for me anyway. I don't know what it is for everybody else. And of course, everybody else saves things differently. So. Okay. So now we've got that done. I'm going to go back over it with steel gray just to blend that all together. And I know steel gray is a little bit darker than that center gray, but that's fine. Like I said, I just want the center gray there for highlights. And the areas that aren't going to be highlighted, I don't mind doing it in this darker gray. Because it gives that highlight a bit more pop. And this highlight does, or this color does seem to marry those dark colors together quite nicely. Okay, and that is a lightly tarnished silver compared to a darker tarnish on your silver. I'm not sure if you can see the differences there too much, but this one here we used a metallic silver pencil, and this one here we used the four different types of gray. So to me and to the naked eye, just looking at these two silvers together on the page, I'm not seeing a whole lot of difference beyond the fact that it took less pencils in doing it with a silver pencil. This one, of course, is lighter because I've used a lighter gray, but the technique that I'm using does give you the same effects as using a silver-based pencil or a metallic-based pencil. Now I'm just blending any harsh lines that I have. Make sure that any harsh lines that you have are blended in so that it looks very consistent. Otherwise, it'll just look like you've outlined it and chopped it up. Now, what I was saying before with the eraser, I'll show you what I mean by that as soon as I can find my eraser. Oh, there it is. I have a very fine eraser, and I'm just going to take whatever color I have on it off and made a mess of my thing. And I'm just going to take this really fine eraser. It's tiny. I do believe it's called a Mono Zero. It's a Tombow eraser. And this one is a 2.3 millimeter fine. And I'm just going to take it and I'm running it down that highlight where I want those highlights to be the lightest. And I'm just taking that color off down to the lightest color. Try not to go too deep with it and try not to hit paper. If you do hit paper, of course, take your lighter color and go back over it. And there we go. And that is my lesson on both coloring with a metallic pencil and coloring without a metallic pencil. Now the next, as well as a dark silver, a pewter silver, and a light silver and a medium silver. So there's 3 different types of silver in the colorings that I've done so far today. And the final one, this is the very last one, which will be have a bit of a blue tone to it. I just have to find the right pencil. Oh, maybe I didn't take, maybe I did, hold on a sec. Yeah, so we're going to start with a smoke gray, which is A107. And we're going to fill in the dial here with smoke gray. And I'm doing this quite thick. I'm using a medium hand, not a light hand or a heavy hand, just a medium hand to get down a good layer of color. And then we're going to go with the storm gray. which is a dark gray. And we're going to just bring that out. Now this is overlapping things, so I'm actually going to go over the line. I don't know if, yeah, okay. So you can still see that. I'm going over the line and into my dial here. So it gives that shadow outside. Now, if you find that your shadow is way bigger than you want it to be, of course, just take an eraser to it. Now, this part I am doing a very, very light hand. I'm trying not to put too much pressure on the pencil so that if I do need to erase it, it's not going to leave a whole lot of shadow behind. And then what you can do, because the Storm Gray does have a bit of dark blue in it, you can blend that blue in a little bit, or you can mute it down a little bit with your black. I like the blue in it, but like I said, sometimes you just don't want that darkness. Of course, make sure that, you know, if you're just doing a small shadow, you can erase part of that and have that shadow still there, but not have as dark of a color. And don't do what I just did, because I just wiped that across my page and probably just put a good layer of dust everywhere. Now find your lightest gray. My lightest gray that I have out is fog gray. Now I'm going to take this fog gray and I'm going to sharpen it to a really, really sharp point. And I really shouldn't do that on that table. And it's a very, very sharp point. And I'm just going to go up the center. And you can do this with gray or you can do this with white, depending upon how dark of a gray you chose. And I'm just giving that light source and blending source. Now, it doesn't seem to be giving me the light source because I don't know if it's my eyesight or it's just not doing what I wanted to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill that in and I'm going to blend it all together with that lighter gray. I'm leaving the shadow area on the outside alone, and I'm just bringing in that darker gray into that medium gray. And then I'm going to take the medium gray again, which is smoke gray, and I'm just going to go over it, and I'll show you how to best deal with the highlight on that. So because I couldn't get the highlight to work with the grays, one of the things that we can do is we can grab a white jelly roll here. So this is a 0.5 jelly roll pen. I'm just going to make sure it works. And we're just going to put a little bit of a highlight in there. Not a lot. Like I said, this is a very, very thin line because I don't want it taking over that dark line there. Okay. I I don't know if you can see that very well with it being white on gray. I'll tip it a bit, see if you can see it. So that gives you that highlight on that side of the dial. So there are four different ways of doing silver with just using gray. Well, three different ones with just using grays, one with using a silver pencil. Another thing that you can do with your silver pencils, of course, is you can add it to other metallic pencils. I hadn't planned on doing this, but let's take a look at doing just a little bit with something like that. We've got in the Arteza set, we have a copper pencil. So let's do one of these little areas with a bit of copper. And I will show you what I mean with the silver pencil. So what you do is you just take your silver pencil. I'm just going to color this area here with the silver. And I'm going to have it reflecting a different color. So basically, I'm doing the exact same thing I would do with gray, but instead I'm going to do it with a copper tone, a copper color. So when your metallics join together like that, it should give a good reflective quality of the different colors coming together. Okay, so of course we want to do the edge. And of course you can do this definitely the other way around and use the silver as the edging and the copper as the main color. And do it sort of like a tarnished penny kind of look. And then we just take that silver again and bring all those colors together into a nice metallic color. Sort of like that, which gives it a rusty metallic tone. Which is another quite pretty tone for these metallic bits on this watch. And of course I'm just going to bring them all together. Try to eliminate as many harsh lines as you can in your transitions. And just like that. And that is a mixture of two different types of metallics. Of course, you can also do this with gold. You can do it with unicorn purple is another metallic that Arteza has. And the great thing with the unicorn purple is it's very close to silver. It's got a pink hue to the silver. Let's do this one here. I'm going to do this little cog here with this unicorn purple silver. And as you can see, it's got that nice pink hue to it. Almost like that all by itself. So you can use different colors of silver. Brutfuner has some really wonderful silver colors, dark silvers light silvers, and they have some really nice metallics in their set. Arteza has some really nice metallics as well. And of course, you can get this effect pretty much with any coloring that you want. Is just taking your colors and making sure that they complement each other and give each other that depth that you are looking for. Now I've used the unicorn purple there, and I've got a bit of the storm gray here, and I'm just doing that inside line because there's a bit of a shadow from this outer cog here, the inner part of this cog. So I'm just going to give that little bit of color there, and then you can take your silver and you can go around the outside and show that as a different depth of color than the purple. And I'm just bringing that in together and bringing those colors in from the sides as well, because there's a bit of a shadow here that I need to put in a bit darker. So where your shadows, where your overlays are, try to remember to give that shadow of the overlay. And then of course you can just blend that in. And once you have that other color on top of the color that you're using for your base, you can either go back over it with your base color and make that a little bit brighter, or leave it alone and just go over it with an eraser or something to bring that, join those harsher lines together. I like doing that with the lighter color, but if it's already too dark, use your blender pen, or pencil I should say. You can definitely use a blender pen as well. I use my Prisma pen all the time to blend pencils and other things. And there we go. And that is a completely different type of silver. I'm going to just give you a bit of the, I'm going to turn the light on here. Let's see, so that you can see the silver. There we go. The silver qualities of those different metallics. Now, as you can see, this metallic is very, very, very shiny and very reflective of light. However, this one here that we did in the grays still is showing in that center area quite a bit of reflection, as well as, of course, the silver and the copper is also showing that reflection as well. So there are our silvers, different ways to do silver, different colorations of silver. You can do this with any pencil. You don't have to do this with metallic pencils. You can definitely do this with grays, blacks, whites, any color of pencil that has that silvery quality of color. If you mix your darks with your grays and your darker grays and your lighter grays, it gives you a very nice antiqued quality to your silver. Same with if you even use the darker stuff like the pewter, the storm grays, the noir, the blacks on top of your silver pencil, your metallic silver pencil. It gives you a depth to your coloring that just plain flat silver doesn't give you. And that, my dear friends, is how I color silver. I hope you enjoyed this video. Of course, like I said, I am not an expert. This is just my opinion and the way I do things. If you have any suggestions on future videos for Tips and Tricks Tuesday, please do leave those in the comment section of things that you want to see how I do. Of course, like, comment, and subscribe. If you're not already a subscriber to the channel, please do hit the subscribe button. Ring that bell. It will give you a video every single day, except for Sundays. Sundays is a special day where I will put out special breaking news videos or special guests or special occasion type videos. Of course, finally, and last but not least whatsoever, oh, no, I almost forgot. We also have a Facebook group, of course. And if you want to join us over on Facebook, please do fill out the application form in full. We will not accept any applications that don't have those 3 little questions all filled out. Always remember to relax, color, and stay safe. Bye-bye for now, guys, and thank you so much for watching and visiting me.